freaking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Greg DuCharme with you this evening, and this is the halftime show of the American Express. We are just about through 2 rounds out in the desert, out at Palm Springs, and join him in to break down all the action is Mark Immelman. Mark, welcome to the show.
Yeah, how's it, Greg? I was like, welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I was expecting Rick Gehman. I'm like, whoa, it's Greg. You caught me completely unawares, bro. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Mark. Great job on the coverage on PGA Tour Live today. We'll be watching you all weekend out there.
Yeah, we've got the main feed coverage there. These new PGA studios are insane. I mean, what they've got there, what they're able to do in the main studio is unreal. So yeah, we've got main feed coverage, and they got a lot of cameras out there too, compared to in years past. So for those folks who've watched ESPN Plus and PGA Tour Live, it's truly sort of becoming, in my opinion, sort of the epicenter of golf broadcast, and it's very cool to be down here.
Yeah, it's exciting. I've seen some of the pictures and some of the videos, and I've heard it's absolutely incredible. So great to get your insight from it. And as you're covering this event so far, and as we've all been watching, one of the big stories is what's going on with these golf courses, specifically the Stadium course.
Mm-hmm.
In round 1, the Stadium course played over par, about a quarter of a shot over par, while the Nicklaus Tournament course and La Quinta played, better, 3 shots under par. I mean, it was about a 4-shot difference between the two. And you look at round 2, Stadium course, not quite a half shot under par. And the Nicklaus Tournament course was over 4 shots under par. Yeah. La Quinta, 3 shots under par. What are your biggest takeaways from the Stadium course so far this week?
Well, maybe it's the grumpy old man in me a bit, but I remember the Stadium course being back there way back in the day when the golf ball didn't go as far and stuff, and the place was just a brute, man. It was hard. Even like 400-yard par 4s were difficult because you'd be going in there with medium irons and such, but nowadays these guys are reducing those holes to like drivers and wedges and stuff. But with the firm greens, all the greens were redone to sort of not restore them to where they were, but just to expand them some, give some more hole locations, I'm sure, because over the year there was a little creep, as greens tend to shrink as they age. They just new, the greens are new, so as a result, they're firm. And man, we saw stuff in the practice round, and we certainly saw stuff in round 1, like a hole like 17, the par 3, Alcatraz, where they've played it short because the greens were so firm, and there's no wind, okay? So they're playing this hole, which can play up to about 165, 70 yards-ish. They're playing it at about 150, and I saw wedges hitting and skipping out 15, 20 feet. And then you get to another par 3, like number 6 on the front, where they got the flag way back in the green because the thing's playing 240. So they're giving the guys the room to land it and then run it up there with a longish iron. And I watched balls that would land right at the flag, hit go, and the next thing they're in the water on the other side of the hole, and they're only like 25, 30 feet from the hole. So it's challenging. And like I said, a grumpy old guy in me is like, well, yeah, it's cool to see this thing playing around par a little bit instead of having the grass shot off the place like they do at the other golf courses around there.
Hey, from one grumpy old guy, of course, you're appreciating the grumpy old work of Pete Dye, because he was a grumpy old guy designing golf courses.
I found this quote by him. I actually used it on the air. I think it might have been yesterday or today. I don't know. And the quote by Dye goes, life isn't fair. So if life isn't fair, why should I make a golf course fair? And I'm like, yeah, because that's exactly what this place sort of smacks on. For people who haven't seen it, it's kind of like, imagine TPC sawgrass with bulkheads and sharp edges and angles and stuff. Well, it's that on acid. There's sharp edges, there's rocks, there's different sort of angles that you're going to play to and stuff, and deep bunkers. I mean, some of the bunkers are ridiculously deep. Like 16, it's like 22 feet deep. So, I mean, it's just mean. And at one stage, it was the hardest course in the USA.
And it plays as typically in the past, at least last year, one of the easier golf courses on the PGA Tour. So they've put some bite back into it, and we'll get to watch it over the weekend. I'll remind you that while this is our halfway point show, there is no cut tonight. The cut is after 54 holes, and then everybody who makes the 54 hole cut will be playing the stadium course, Pete Dye Stadium course on Sunday. Now, speaking of the stadium course, we've seen some great rounds out there despite all those difficulties, including Nick Taylor, Mark, who went out yesterday in round 1 and shot 65. He went to La Quinta today and answered with another 66. Nick Taylor, fresh off a win at the Sony Open, is right back in action.
Yeah, as we had him in coverage on Thursday at the stadium course, and you can just see a guy who's playing with confidence, because it doesn't look like he's bothered, because you go into this event and you kind of know it's a bit of a birdie bonanza. And he got off in round 1 to a bit of a pedestrian start, but he just kept doing his thing because, I'm confident. I know I'm playing well. I'm coming off a victory, and you're playing almost with house money. And then next thing, he catches a little fire. He gets some momentum, shoots at 8 under on the stadium course. And then you go to La Quinta, which ordinarily is the one where they really get busy on. This week, the Nicklaus tournament course you pointed out is sort of averaging at the easiest. But La Quinta, you got to hit the ball around there. It's short, but it's intimate. If you miss fairways, you're going to know about it. And the greens also were fairly firm because of kind of the drought they've had in California. And we saw players trip themselves up a little bit in round 1. But the guy's just playing with massive confidence. He's hitting it nicely. Most of all, the things he does well, Greg, the chipping and the putting and stuff like that.
Yes.
He's excelling. And so as a result, I don't think he's going away over the weekend. I don't.
A lot of wedge opportunities, and going to the Nicklaus course tomorrow, and then back to the stadium course where he's already had success. Nick Taylor, who sits right now at 13 under, is in a tie for 8th, but if you look at that total strokes gained, I think it's a little better because he hasn't played the easiest golf course yet. Yeah. Now, in round 2 today, Mark, we saw some more good rounds at the stadium course. Mark Hubbard shot 8 under. He shot 7 under 65 yesterday, 8 under 64 today. Mark Hubbard was rather impressive with the 8 birdie, bogey-free 64 on the stadium course today.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the Friday night crowing like I sometimes do in one front. But remember, I got this guy at like plus 120 or what it was for a top 40.
Yes.
I jumped on that thing. He's just a good player, and he's playing in California, and there plus 120. Yeah, baby. He's playing in California, and he's just a scrappy sort of a competitor, and he's very, very comfortable close to home. And it's the sort of golf course where it's playing shorter because it's firmish in the fairways, and he's getting enough short clubs in there where the way he plays, he can get after it. And just so, this is Mark Hubbard. This is sort of consummately who he is, and I hope this continues over the weekend for him.
It was really impressive. We do have strokes gain data from the stadium course. He gained over 4.5 shots approaching the green. Mark, I noticed, just like you, a lot of approach shots for him inside of 150, and they were ended up inside of 15 feet. That's a good combination out there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and part of that combination, and we'll talk to that a bit when we get to Justin Lauer, it's judging the trajectory and then the hit and the release. Because ordinarily these guys on soft conditions, they're just flying balls to targets kind of thing, where you can't do that. So it's kind of the crafty, wily sort of a guy who's thinking on his feet, who can control trajectory, control spin, who's going to thrive. And that's Hubbard. Doesn't spin the ball very much. So he knows when the ball lands, it's going to release. He knows it's firm greens. So he's playing those distances very well. But that all being said, the key for those guys as they go into the weekend, you have to be playing from the fairway so you can get a little something on the greens, because they're not really getting spritzed. They're not getting much water. They're getting like a light dusting. So it's going to stay firm over the weekend, and the stadium course by Sunday could be fairly firm. So you've got to play from the fairway.
When I think of firm golf courses, one guy I always have my eye on, and certainly do this week, is Sepp Straka, who also he's putting the finishing touches on a really nice round. He's 7 under with just the 18th hole to go on the stadium course, shot 65 in the opening round. He's bogey free for the week. Sepp Straka has himself at 14 under par right now in a tie for fifth. He's looking really strong himself.
Isn't it crazy, Greg? I mean, you've been around golf for so long. Like, I know the conditions were easy, but some people just make the game look easy.
Yeah.
And when he plays the golf swing, which is so repetitive and it's pleasing to the eye, and just his manner, he never really looks very flustered. He never looks like he's like, oh hell, all heck is breaking loose kind of thing. And it's just coming to him. He played alongside Brian Harman for a couple of days and sort of just taking it as it comes, not trying to force the issue. It's been awfully patient, and you're right. That's why he plays hard golf course as well. So the way he's striking it, the consistency he's showing, unless there's some sort of crazy mishap, I think he'll be a factor over the weekend.
He hit it in the fairway on 18, had 182 yards in. Mark, to your point about the firmness of the greens, he landed it about 30 feet or so short of the flag, and it went over the green. So he's got to get up and down on 18 to stay bogey free and shoot 65, but really good stuff from Sepp Straka. There are a lot of big names in this field as well. And we're going to get to all of those. We'll get to Justin Lauer, who Mark mentioned. We'll get to Blades Brown, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay. A lot of the big names coming at you next. But first, we got to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Mark, mentioning some of the big names, Will Zalatoris coming off a little bit of a down year last year, seems to be back, seems to be healthy. And right now he finds himself tied for 11th after back-to-back rounds of 66. He's got his last two rounds at the stadium course. That could be a good thing for Will Zalatoris. What are your thoughts on his opening two rounds?
We had him a lot Thursday morning, and look, you mentioned Will Zalatoris, and that's synonymous with sound ball striking, which he was doing. He was driving the ball in the fairway at La Quinta, hitting the ball on the green, got the par fives with irons, birdied them. But there were a number of situations where he hit putts that were just good. He's got this lab putter in his bag. It's that broomstick handle. And, I remember times when he would make putts, but it would look unconvincing.
Yeah.
I mean, that stroke right now is so rhythmic. It is so poised. There's no real fright factor in the greens. I mean, the ball's not getting away from you very much. They can't really cut them down because they're so firm. Okay. So as a result, they're really good holding speed. And every putt I've seen him hit, if it's missed, it's been around the hole. The stroke's been tremendous. And so, yeah, I'm with you because he's going to hit it well. And so now if he continues to make strokes like this, he's likely to roll putts like he is. And if he's doing that, he's going to make a share. Now, the stadium's not giving up scores like the other courses. So he's going to have to do something special. It's not like you can let folks like go to Nicklaus tournament tomorrow and have them come back to you. They're not. That
No.
place is basically playing as a par 68. Sorry, I sound like Bryson, but it is. So whoever's in front of him, you add another 4, and then you've got to beat that guy on Sunday. So he's going to have to be good tomorrow. He's going to have to shoot something sort of in the 68, 67 sort of range, and then just see how it pans out on Sunday when the pressure is up.
Yeah, tied for 11th. You're at 12 under par, and it feels almost like, it's going to be worse tomorrow, even if you play a great day. It's just a crazy position to be in. For the players who played the Nicklaus tournament course today, this is the chance to really go and get yours. Patrick Cantlay did that, Mark. Patrick Cantlay shot 8 under par, 64, and 68 in the opening round. He's at 12 under, also in a tie for 11th.
Yeah, one of my picks this week is an outright. I just got a feeling about Cantlay because he's a California boy. You're watching the game trend. He's normally very reliable from tee to green. And if there has been sort of a fissure in the arsenal from my experience, it's just he's not converting and he's not building momentum in rounds. Now, you can blame that on the odd errant shot or maybe the odd miss putt or whatever, but sometimes it's just kind of mojo and you get things going your way. And he showed that today with what's that, 6 birdies and 7, 8 holes that he made on his second 9 of the day to come back in 30 and 64. That maybe is exactly just what he needed. And this is a course where he's played well, so the vibes are good, and the lines off the tee fit his eye. And the game, to me, around the stadium course, even though it's changed from way back in the day, you've got to attack that place with a managerial kind of an insight. You can't just blaze away and hope it's going to work out. You have to hit the ball on the smart side of the flag. You have to pick the right shots, and that's kind of his MO. So I like where he's standing. If it was my money, I was laying on it on that Tuesday game we were playing, I'd be quite happy. Now, thankfully, we play with imaginary bucks. But still, this is exciting to see because Patrick Cantlay is one of the better players in the PGA Tour, and it's time for him, in my opinion, to start playing like that again.
It's not that his play has been poor. You just haven't really seen his name up on top of leaderboards. It's been okay. It's just he's got, and I think you're right about the momentum and some of those streaks. That's going to be important on the stadium course as well, because there are times when you got to play away from flag sticks. And I think it'll be really important for him to get that putter going so that he can get through those pass shots, if you will, rather than shoot shots.
Yeah, that's a really good call because, when you're playing, when greens are firm and you're not playing, you're kind of, playing away from some hole locations, you're going to be hitting 20, 25, 30, 35 footers a lot. And so the guys making birdie, that's why they're not like killing the stadium course, because they're over these putts that you're going to make, 5% of the time, if less, right? So someone's going to need to get a little something going on. You hit a few close, then there are 1 or 2 of those bonus long range ones you make, and you birdie a few fives. That's how you make that special round around this place. So to that, I do feel like, you get some momentum and the hole starts looking bigger and you start trusting your reads and you roll balls at holes. That's what these chase pack are going to have to do, the guys that are playing stadium twice over the next couple days.
Well, Justin Thomas is also playing the stadium course over the next 2 days, and he comes in with quite a bit of momentum. Justin Thomas shot 67 in his opening round at La Quinta. He's on the Nicklaus tournament course today. He started on the back 9, made 2 birdies, no bogeys. Through his first 12 holes, he's sitting at 2 under par. And he decides to just make 6 birdies in a row to close out his round. Back 9 30, which was the front 9 on the golf course, good enough for 8 under par 64. And Justin Thomas has himself inside the top 10, tie for 8th at 13 under.
Do you know it's trite when you listen to a PGA Tour pro? You hear these watchwords from them, and one, you'll stick to the process and blah 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 blah, but you'll hear them say, "I just got to be patient." And the Justin Thomas I've watched over the last couple of days has been patient beyond himself, because he can burn a little hot. I mean, he's chilly, gets cooking fast at times. And man, he's hit the ball great. Look into the first day, playing alongside Jason Day, who's chipping in from all over the show and making birdies and stuff. And JT's just cruising in there 15, 20, 25 feet all the time. And the putts are nursing the edge of the hole. They're not weak putts. I mean, these are not putts that he's walking early or they lower the hole. Everything's just over the high edge. And I've said more than once when he's clipped the edge of the hole and it hasn't gone down, I'm like, man, he's patient, or he's showing great discipline. And both days, it's rewarded him with really solid back 9s. He did the same thing in round 1 at La Quinta, where nothing was going on. It was pedestrian. Then he finishes with a 5 birdie flourish in like 8 holes or whatever. Same deal today. They're at Nicklaus. Man, his game looks sound right now. And the putts he's hitting are quality. And it's sort of fun to see, because you talk about Cantlay being one of the leading players. JT naturally is multiple major champion. But the game is better when he's playing well. He's that sort of a personality. So I'm keen to see if this is a new attitude, if this is like Justin Thomas 2.0, something he's found about himself, or if he's just like, well, dang, man, I just know I'm hitting it so well. I've just got to not screw myself up and I'll be okay. Because for someone who's hitting it like him, you become your own worst enemy, because you start missing some putts. Then you try and force the issue some. And over the stadium course, no one can afford to do that, because of the firmness of the greens and how we're watching balls get repelled off edges of these targets.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Mark. And if there was ever a time to lose patience, you're looking up at a leaderboard like this one. This is the time to do it. So patience is tested in this tournament more than any other, and it's good news that he's been rewarded for it because, well, otherwise you just get run over. So it's really interesting, but good things coming from Justin Thomas. Continuing with some of our big names right now at 13 under par total, coming off a 10 under par 62 at the Nicklaus Tournament course. Who do we have next, Josh?
Rickie Fowler.
All right, Rickie Fowler, 10 under 62 today. What do you make of that, Mark?
It wasn't a Rickie Fowler. I saw a TGL there a few weeks or nights or whatever it was ago. Yeah, goodness gracious. It's golf, right? You know, these guys are all talented and they just need that one swing thought or that one shot or that one putt that goes down that just gets them rolling. Now, look, he played the Nicklaus Tournament course, which is easier. You're playing in a dome, but they don't give you the score. I mean, you got to go out and shoot, and 231s. I don't care where you're playing. That's freaking good. So, man, that's cool. I'm glad Rickie's good. I'm looking forward to him playing some more good golf over the weekend because can you imagine the world if Rickie Fowler wins an event and all of a sudden starts showing up like the Rickie Fowler we know and we've come to love. So very, very cool. But it's curious how all these Californians are kind of cruising a little bit in California. It's sweet to see because American Express have this initiative where for every birdie and eagle in the field, everyone by any player, they're donating $100 to the LA wildfire cause. So I'm sure the Californians in the field and the guys from Southern California, like Rickie, have sort of added incentive. So it's really sweet to see that they're coming through the way they are.
It's going to be a rather big donation at the end of the week. Great stuff from American Express. So impressed with Rickie's turnaround after just a terrible year. He really saved it and showed some promise in the fall. I would have liked to see him play a couple more events at the end of the fall. He didn't play the RSM. I hoped he would, but it's really nice to see him come out here and put together a performance like this because this is not the TGL Rickie Fowler. This guy's going to be a factor over the weekend. So it's great to see.
The putter change. Did you notice the putter change?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What did you make of that?
Well, I'm a lab putter guy. If you're not using one, you're giving up strokes to the field. That thing is so balanced and it swings so well. Everyone's going there. It's like a movement. It's becoming like a cult. But it's the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you pick it up, it swings freely, and I watched him hit a few putts. And I remember Rickie at his best, where it looked like he was never concerned with missing. You know, he'd get up there, one look, have a swing, the ball would roll at the whole speed, 3-4 feet by, kind of almost tap in the next one. Right. He had some putts that just looked so free-flowing today. And I feel like he can thank, look, the work he's done, but the weighting of that putter too, because just the way it lies and the way it's balanced, it wants to almost swing itself if you allow it to. So it's a cool move. I'm keen to see how it goes under pressure because that's a different thing.
Yeah, and he kind of had a lot of birdie putts today because he hit all 18 greens. So really good stuff all around through the bag for Rickie Fowler. Now, Mark, one of the storylines, so we kind of transition away from some of the bigger names here. This is one of the bigger storylines of the week. 17-year-old Blades Brown, who turned professional, went out in his opening round and shot even par. He got off to a little bit of a tough start with a bogey and a double in his first 3 holes. He was 3 over through 3, finished at even, but now he's well inside the cut line because he went out and shot 8 under par, 64 at the Nicklaus Tournament course today. Did you get a chance to watch any of this kid? What do you make of his game?
I saw a few shots. Look, he's got a cool-looking golf swing. I have not watched him play in person. My only thought on this is like, man, for Blades Brown, I wish the cut was Friday evening. So
yeah,
because he's 8 under and he's going to have to go out. I'm not sure. I think where does he go tomorrow? Is it La Quinta?
La Quinta.
Oh, okay, La Quinta. So it'll be a little easier, but he's made a cut on the PGA Tour at Myrtle Beach, I think it was.
Yep, but it tied 26 there.
Yeah, it would have been so sweet to shoot 64 and make the cut and have some weekend golf. But now you got one more round to play, and he's 8. I feel like it is.
Mark, I was wrong. He's going to the stadium course tomorrow.
Okay, well, that changes things a little.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked at the leaderboard since I left work, but I'm guessing the cut's going to be like in the 9-10 sort of a range, if not lower.
That's probably right. I mean, right now, 65 and you got 77 players at 6 under or better. So right now, 6 under would do it. I was kind of thinking at the beginning of the week, 9 under was probably your cut line. So probably 8, somewhere between 8 and 10 under.
Yeah, well, the problem is that a lot of the guys that are keeping that cut where it is have played the stadium course, and they're all going to Nicholas where they're going to shred the place. So, yeah, I'd sort of say that the cut's probably 9-ish. So he's got a little work to do tomorrow, but he's got some game. And he's brave to turn pro at 17, but, man, more power to you. I've got a brother who turned pro at 17, and things turned out pretty well.
Did it work out for him?
It worked out for him, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Probably, Josh says in the chat, anything under par probably gets it done for him. I think that's true. I think that's true. So we'll keep our eye on Blades Brown as well. It's been a nice story this week. And at 17 years old, I don't think it's going to be the last time we talk about Blades Brown here on the First Cut podcast.
Yeah, where's he going for? Wait. There's so many good restaurants in Palm Springs, right? The place is awesome. I love going there. But what's he going to, Chipotle or something for dinner? I mean, everyone else is going to a nice place with a glass of wine. Here's Blades going to Chipotle or something with whoever.
Yeah, maybe he's holding up a sign, please help sign by the 18th green. Dinner fun for tonight. Mark, a lot of talk about these players who are well under par. But they're all at a tie for 5th, tie for 11th. They're all kind of well down the leaderboard. Let's take a look up near the top of the leaderboard here, because the lead 16 under par. And it's Charlie Hoffman and Rico Hoey tied for the lead at 16 under par. Justin Lauer is at 15 under, along with Mark Hubbard. And Sepp Straka, actually, what did Sepp hole out on it? Sepp Straka holed out on 18. He chipped in on 18, so he shot 64. So he's at 15 under as well.
You're omitting one Jason Day, who I think's the guy you've got to beat if you want to win this tournament. I really do. The way the guy's playing is awesome.
Well, let's save that for the betting odds. Give me your thoughts on Charlie Hoffman. Is this surprising for you? 63 at the Nicklaus tournament course today, after 65 at La Quinta yesterday. Is this something we really got to watch out for heading into the weekend? If
you poll a locker room on the PGA Tour, like for the top 5 ball strikers in the game, you will hear most people list Charlie Hoffman in there. The guy flushes. He plays a really simple game. Look, he's older, but this desert golf, he's used to it. I mean, he's from Southern California. He played golf at UNLV. He's lived out there in Phoenix for the longest time, so he's comfortable in the environment, and he hits it so flush. And the word is, I've heard from some insiders that over the off time, he's just spent a lot of time in the gym, flexibility, mobility, all those sorts of important things. And so it's kind of like a new version of an old golfer who's just a really good ball striker. And he knows how to win. So, yeah, I don't think Charlie's going away. He's won this thing before, so he loves the environment. But it's just cool to see. Like I say, this event to me is almost a throwback. Whenever I do the American Express, I think back to my first one where I went out there and I always remembered the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic, and Bob Hope and all these Hollywood legends playing in the Pro-Am. And I went there and I saw the Bob Hope golf cart, and you drive around the place and there's like Elvis Presley Boulevard and Bing Crosby Street and stuff. And it's just very cool. So it's cool for me to see that a golf courses like these are, so to let the oldies and the young bucks play a little bit. And so it's kind of the best of the PGA Tour to me. So I'd love to see some old guys and some young guys vying out for the title on Sunday, because that'll just complete the storyline as far as I'm concerned.
He was in contention in the desert, although a different golf course last year. Lost to Nick Taylor in a playoff at the WM Phoenix Open last year. So we'll keep our eye on him. Now, we do have a young guy up here in a tie for the lead as well, with Rico Hoey, who at Nicklaus Tournament Course, here we go again, 63 for him today after 65 at La Quinta. This kid is just really impressive and starting to find his way.
Well, I'm going to defer to you on this one because I did not see any of him in the coverage. I have not watched him play. You see his name pop up because he's just got a cool name. It sort of stands out to you.
Yeah.
Rico Hoey. He sounds like kind of a movie star. So I don't know enough about him to really comment with any sort of authority, but that's just good golf. And it seems to me like he's around and about that much because I see his name on leaderboards so much that maybe he's close to his time. I mean, it's going to be different now when you're playing in the leading group on Saturday. Or no, he won't because they're still in Pro-Am format. So let's say he plays well tomorrow and he's still in the leading group on Sunday. It hits different. I don't care how well you've been playing. So that's always the unknown for these youngsters coming up. But you know what? Whether you're Rico Hoey or Tiger Woods or Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth, you got to win your first one. And before you win your first one, you're not a winner on the PGA Tour. So
his play has been really, really good. I mean, he missed 5 cuts in a row last year, ending at the U.S. Open. He came in tied 6th at the Rocket Mortgage and hasn't missed a cut since. Yeah. So you're talking, that's since the end of June. He's played some really good golf all the way across the board in every area of the game, and a couple of close calls. Tied 6th at the Rocket Mortgage, tied 2nd at the ISCO Championship in that massive playoff, and tied 3rd at the Shriners. So we've seen some contention from him and some really solid play. But I'm with you. This will be a different experience for Rico Hoey these next 2 days at the Stadium Course.
Yeah, because he's like an ISCO. Look, that's awesome. It's an awesome event, but you don't have a lot of the blue chips around. And the way this thing's stacking up, you're going to probably have JT and you're going to have Jason Day. And you're going to have a few of these names, Patrick Cantlay. And these guys know how to win. And they've been around. They're veterans. And the veterans kind of look at the youngsters and they're like, oh, you guys are talented. But, I'm Jason Day for a reason kind of thing.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to bring your game if you want to hang with us, basically, is what it is.
Okay. Speaking of Jason Day, let's get to the odds board here. Josh, if we could pull that up. Mark, what is it that you like about Jason Day? We don't see him right now near the top. It's Sepp Straka at plus 330. We got Mark Hubbard up here at plus 450. Nick Taylor. There's Rico Hoey at 9-1. Charlie Hoffman at 11-1. JT at 12. There's Jason Day at 20-1 right now.
20-1.
You're licking your chops at that number, huh?
The farmer. Yeah, I'll talk to you like a golf instructor. Jason Day talks like this. He always has. He goes, I have 3 buckets. I have the physical bucket, the mental bucket, and then the health bucket. And the physical, the golf swing's like there. He is looking so good, driving the ball really well, hitting his irons really well. The short game is immaculate. He holed out 3 times in round 1.
Yes.
And you know how he putts, and these greens are perfect. He spends time out here usually before the West Coast swing, so he's comfy in the environment. And he stated his intentions. He said to me 2 years ago, he goes, I'm on the way. I know what I got to do. He goes, I've been to number 1 in the world before. I know what it takes. He goes, and I'm going to go and do that now. And so he's playing with this purpose. And the way I've seen him play the last couple of days, it looks really sound. He's playing alongside Justin Thomas, one more round. JT is the same sort of thing. Those 2 guys are very intriguing to me. But I think the wild card through this all is the guy who's probably playing with the most confidence, and that's Nick Taylor. Look, respect to Mark Hubbard and to Charlie Hoffman and all of them, but if you're those guys, if they're realistic with themselves, even Sepp Straka, they're like, okay, if I beat JT and if I beat Nick Taylor, who's winning last week, and Jason Day, then I'm in the mix. So I'm going to sort of say that those 3 guys I've got my eye on, but Jason Day at 20-1 right now. Phew, I love that number.
Hopefully you got on Sepp Straka earlier in the week.
Yeah.
I know I was a fan of him earlier in the week. Now that he's through the Stadium Course, he'll have one more run at it on Sunday. But you got to like where he is. 1 shot off the lead, shooting 64 on the Stadium Course is pretty good. But go ahead, Mark.
No, you just got me thinking. I'm remiss that I did not recognize that. because like JT and Jason Day are playing the stadium tomorrow and Sunday. Nick Taylor is playing the Nicholas tournament course, right?
Nick Taylor played. Yes, that's right. Nicholas tournament course.
Yeah, and Sepp is going to where? La Quinta?
Sepp's going to La Quinta.
Okay, so you got two guys there. Look, I think that sort of changes the thing a little bit because, like, let's say Nick goes over there and shoots 64. You're more likely to see that out there than what you are at the stadium. It's been done, but odds are that it isn't.
Right.
So, in as much as what I'm really high on Jason Day right now, and Justin Thomas for that matter, they got the big boy golf course to play for 2 days, where the other two have got one sort of easy-ish venue where they can kind of stamp some authority and get themselves maybe a little advantage as we head into Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how this all plays out. I tell you, JT at 12-1 it's looking good. I mean, I know you're going to the stadium course tomorrow for the next 2 days, but everybody's got to play it. And whoever wins this tournament is going to have to go shoot a really good number on a tough golf course. And I think JT and Jason Day, to your point, Mark, they're hitting it well enough to handle that. So we'll see how all that plays out. Mark, before we get out of here, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I want to say this. In these birdie fiestas, everyone thinks of making birdies. And people start panicking if you make a few pars. The reality is 64 is 8 birdies and 10 pars, right? So you make more pars than birdies. I'm saying this, that over the weekend, the contenders, bogeys are not good because you're basically giving up a hole and some that you're going to make up. And you're kind of spotting your competition to start. But big numbers are absolutely disastrous. So whoever's going to win this thing, they're going to have to just avoid the bogeys and the numbers, play smartly and pick off birdies where you can. Don't hit at stupid targets, because if you make a soft bogey or a double because you get a bad bounce and the ball rolls off a green onto a bulkhead or something, that's likely to cost you. We've seen that happen here again. So for me, it's more bogey and number avoidance than what it is birdie count, because everybody's making birdies.
Patience will pay. Hopefully Justin Thomas can keep that going. Mark, we will be back on Sunday to break down all of the action for the American Express. In the meantime, we'll be watching you on ESPN Live. Cool. Keep up the great work with the coverage. And also, now in the First Cut podcast feed, Patrick did an interview with Maverick McNeely, who is just a great listen. So if you haven't seen that already, make sure you jump over there wherever you listen to your podcasts and check out Maverick McNeely with our own Patrick McDonald. And he'll be with us on Sunday as well. So we'll be back. Rick will be back with us on Sunday. They'll have the whole gang together, break down the American Express, and talk about a great tournament, which it's looking like we're going to get, as we always do. So, Mark, thank you so much. Mark Immelman, you can find on Twitter at Mark_Immelman. I'm Greg DuCharme. You can find me at The Real GFD. That's all we got for you tonight. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.